come home and be with his family. He can't do that if he have to get killed for stepping down as the chairman of the Disciple Nation. Right? So I don't want this to be too long, so I'm going to end it here. But remember, Larry Ben tried to get away. They held him in a leadership position because he was known to be a good man, and that he would be instrumental in the brokering the peace if we ever figure out what was that was forcing him to do something that he never wanted to do. Now that we know what's going on the land and we no longer deceive, somebody got to tell the truth to the judge, because the judge got Larry life in his hands and he's only looking at the deaths. He's not looking at Larry's life is being saved, right, by him not stepping down from the Disciple Nation during this prison bit, because it's recorded already. So I'm going to put the Don Durkee clip in the comments once this is posted, so y'all can come back and see what I'm talking about. And I'm also going to post in the comments a copy of the duress doctrine of law. When the fraud is discovered, the only remedy is called abandonment of the fraud by walking away from anything that got to do with the fraud. The duress defense is you kidnap somebody and you tell their father you're going to go rob this bank or I'm going to kill your child. He going to rob that bank, but he don't want to rob the bank. He's not a bank robber at heart. Larry is not a criminal at heart. He is a beautiful person with a good character, and they use his beautiful disposition and good character to force him to be under the spotlight and in prison all this time against his will. So if we talking about a justice system that's about justice, which we know they not, but if you just want somebody to do right about somebody one time, right? Just do right by the man. He gave y'all his whole life, right? With the hopes of one day being able to sit down and his grandchildren asking him about what happened to him. Where he can use all of this stuff he's been through to steer the children in the right direction. But they don't want that, because they want us all to go down in flames as tyrants and terrible people, when the tyrants and terrible people is actually the ones that's masquerading as our government. They don't got nothing to do with us. They're occupying foreign military force, giving you the illusion that they belong here and that they in a rightful position, and they the frauds the whole time. Right? So, remember, share it to Lil Larry. Inbox him if you got his Instagram. Inbox this video to him. Because we tired of seeing good people persecuted for being good people. It's time for somebody to say, okay, a good man has been held responsible for the tyranny of wicked, and all we have to do is what's right, and let that man go play with his grandbabies, let him breathe free air, let him out of that 29-hour-a-day lockdown BS, and just do what's right by somebody for a change. And if you do what's right, then you're going to be rewarded with the righteousness of heaven. But if you keep persecuting these people, enough is enough. Some of us is going to tell you enough is enough, and then you're going to have rogue actors frustrated with the condition that you will not be able to control unless you can show some semblance of justice. Something has to look like somebody is somewhere trying to do something right for a change. We know about all of the government assassinations of our leadership, but we're not worried about that right now. Right now, the government, these frauds, have the opportunity to do what's right by somebody that was done wrong a long time ago and has been persecuted for being done wrong a long time ago to this day, right? The abandonment defense is not applicable when you performing under duress. Ask the attorney to let the judge know about the duress aspect. Once he understands that Larry been tried to get away from that, and that all of the dirt that these people has heaped up on his name had nothing to do with him. That was individuals acting on their own behalf, doing their own dirt, as I done my own dirt before I started learning the growth and development literature. This is what stopped me from being a tyrant in my own community, because I ain't got no problem lumping somebody up, putting something in them. But Larry said, no, brother, you don't have to do that. You have to go and learn. You have to outlearn everybody. You have to educate yourself higher than everybody else. Them was the instructions that I got back. He said, don't use your time to learn how to be a better killer. Use your time to learn how to be a community healer. You can't be a community healer unless you're standing on the truth. And the truth of the matter is, the man was forced to hold the position during the whole time he was in prison, and you want to continuously hold him in prison for being forced to do something that he already said he didn't want to do. And with that, no code drop on out. Get the message to Lil Larry so he can know how to discuss this correctly with the attorney, because he need to know what to do. And the fact that I'm putting it in the public domain is notice the agent, is notice the principal. And if the claim is valid, Larry's supposed to be coming home. Unless you deliberately want to let us know that you're part of the continuation of the oppression of the tribal nations, and that the tribes need to readjust and move in a different way to get you motherfuckers off our back. But if you can do something right for a change, do something right. So with that, peace out, family. I'm going to be going now to get the receipt, so I'll talk to y'all later, and I'll probably do a Q&A later on tonight right here. So anybody about 8, 9 o'clock tonight, no, about 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, I'll be on here to do an open Q&A concerning this issue that I'm discussing now, how the duress defense work and all that. I will be here to do another live later, but this one I wanted to keep it cut short because I can get long-winded. So catch me later for the Q&A. Right. None of the treaties have any of the tribal names on them of people from the tribes. They have European names on both sides of the treaty, so they had nothing to do with the non-treaty tribes, right? So we had to go through all of the non-treaty tribes reorganizing and reconstituting, being villainized by the corporation that was occupying the territory. They want us to believe that everybody came out of Africa, but that's not the correct story. Everybody came out of the Mississippi Delta would be more accurate. But everywhere on the planet, there is what they call a Delta region. In China, it's at the base of the Yellow River. In India, it's at the base of the Ganges. In South America, it's the base of the Amazon. In continental Africa, that's not how the Nile used to run. It used to drain in the desert, the Sahara. But through engineering projects, it was rerouted to drain into the Mediterranean to cover the crater. So the Delta region in Africa is known as the Congo. The Congo is the region that's the homeland to the gorilla, the primate, right? So, in the course of human evolution, we program the genetics to do different stuff and make different kinds of people. So these regions is where the different tribes emerged from back during ancient, even before Atlantis. They were all matrilineal back then, parthogenic reproductive process. It was in Atlantis where the male gender was incorporated into the human genome. And it was in Atlantis that the conclusion was drawn at the beginning so that we would know how to unravel the mystery. All of these mysteries have us confusing about the genetic stocks of the human family. We got different bloodlines from different family lineages. America is called the great melding pot or God's crucible, and people from all over the world have always came to these lands to tie into the vine. You remember Pop's talking about that, tying into the vine, right?
Right? And listen to
Because,
it.
right, so now you need a drop of blood. The drop of blood doctrine is the reference point. Understand what it is. Because if you ain't got a drop of tribal blood, you ain't from a tribe. So now they got people just saying they 132nd, they 555ths, you know, all these different extended, because they trying to tell you that they came and they got a drop of blood. By hook or by crook, they did it. So this give everybody the equal right to ascend, because if you don't have the earth drop of earth blood, of the earth born, when the earth send out this pulse, it's going to turn off your genetics because it don't belong here. So anything that was created in the or altered in the laboratory is what's been bred back into the genetic stocks of the earthborn in order to have everybody have a rights of ascension, right? So when we talking about, I was getting this message last week, and it sounded like Elijah Muhammad, and he kept asking me the same question over and over. Who is the Asiatic black man, right? And I kept giving him the answer that the enrollment lessons say. The original man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe, right? So he said, okay, now you gave me the answer from the student enrollment. So who is the Asiatic black man? So I recited again. The original man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe, right? He said, okay, I want you to think on that for a while. So I'm thinking on the genetic groupings of the Roman Empire, whose jurisdictional authority and educational processes that we've been following. So who is Asia etymologically? Right? Them was the ones I sent you and I said we could start here.
I
So
got you, Rob.
while I was getting these downloads on the Asiatic black man in a voice that sounded like Elijah Muhammad, I was trying to figure out the means to put the information out on what platform and how I was gonna do it. And the answer came back to go back to Young Elder Show. Right? And then the next day you hollered at me.
Yeah.
So when you realize that Asia is a term in reference to a body of land that was east, right, of Rome, right? So when we looking at this, say the origin of the name Asia is debated. That means that they don't have a comprehensive agreement on where the word Asia came from. But some possible explanations include the Assyrian word Asu, which
Mm-hmm.
means east, the
Mm-hmm.
Asian root Asis, which means muddy or silty, right?
Mm-hmm.
None of that don't make sense right now for it to be accurate. Hittite word Asuwa, right, which is a derivative from an Egyptian dialect, because you could tell by the way that the word is written.
Mm-hmm.
And originally used to refer to the part of northwest Anatolia. Now, Anatolia is the area around Turkey and Uzbekistan, up there in that part of the um, the continent of Eurasia,
Mm-hmm.
right? So now in the geography, the term Asia is anything that's east of Anatolia, which is today Turkey.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And it's the Anatolian region extends down into some of your Arab countries,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then it's a local name for the plains of Ephesus. The name may have originated in a local name for the plains of Ephesus, which was later expanded to refer to Anatolia in the lands east of the Mediterranean Sea. So now the Mediterranean Sea is the point of reference,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's east of the Mediterranean Sea. The
Mm-hmm.
Greek term used to describe the lands east of their homeland. The term was later adopted by the Romans. So now we're talking Greco-Roman rule in determining the course, um, in determining the course of events,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the term Asia was primarily used to highlight the difference between Europe and Asia rather than emphasize any unifying identifying among Asians. In other words, it wasn't to group the people together, it was to separate the land.
Mm-hmm.
Now remember, the first thing that you have to do if you want to govern the land is you have to assign what they call lines of demarcation. You
Mm-hmm.
got to have a line in the sand. Where's your territory and where's my territory?
Right.
So the term Asia is in reference to all of the people that live east of the Anatolia, right?
Okay.
So now, this is where the Romans and the Greeks are Etruscans, and they fighting long drawn out wars with the people of the Anatolies, which was the Turks, and the Barbary, which was the ones, I think Barbary was west of Rome.
The Ottoman Empire, right? Is it the Ottoman, the Ottoman Empire? The
The
Ottoman?
Ottoman Empire rose up on top of them.
Okay. Okay.
The Anatolians are the ancient stock of people that was there when all of this took flight. But over time, they became amalgamated with outside people, just like everybody else,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when we look at the average Chinese, Japanese, or Korean today, we look at the ones they show us on TV with the pale skin because those are what they call the whitewash renditions. Those are the ones who, the same way that you have pale face over here, they show them as American. It's the
Uh-huh.
same thing. They just
Uh-huh.
amalgamated with the lighter skinned groups of people. This was all being done in breeding programs under under the organization of labor forces by the Anunnaki.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And once you realize that all of the differences that was created was differences that was created,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when the differences are created, like these people roots do not trace back to Africa.
Go ahead.
These are the original Aryan people of India before Enlil children became the current royal class in that caste system. And his is those ones that we see that look like the drawings of Aladdin
Mm-hmm. Lad.
in India,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So these was the original people in India.
Mm-hmm. The Hindus.
Right? These are called Dravidians or the Untouchables today. They got a couple more names, which is in the receipts that goes over into who these people were. Right? So there are multiple matches for Chinese people. Okay, so this is talking about when I was going over that we've been doing trade with the royal families of Asia
Uh-huh.
on the Pacific and with the Africans on the Atlantic. This goes to the Pacific side, right?
Uh-huh.
They name General Jing He and the ancient Chinese people that migrated to the Americas because they know who these people are,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
He have maps of coming to America across the Pacific in his tomb, right? Zheng He, a Chinese Muslim admiral exploring during the Ming Dynasty, who said to have sailed to the Americas before Christopher Columbus. This is one of the um, more current travelers that came from Asia to the Americas who brought women as brides for the royal families of the Americas.
Mm.
So this is why when they brought they $5 Indians over here, they was able to blend in with the ones that we had intermarried with
Mm.
and take on their customs and their traditions, and they learned it in Indian school
Mm-hmm.
where they teach you how to be an
That's
Indian.
right. That's why we dropped that receipt already. I got that
Yeah.
receipt short.
And
Yeah.
that's why you see all of those Asian looking ones, because this is how they was planning to replace us. If we don't figure out who he is, then the next ones in line to receive the inheritance is the Native American.
Mm-hmm.
But we organic, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we talking about the different groups of people, this is a group of people right here called the Anu out of Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Right? These are the bloodlines of Anu, what they call the Golden Dragon Clan.
Okay, go ahead.
They got a different genetic stock from everybody else. But they all got common denominators as a human avatar
Hmm.
with all of the other groups. But what separates them right here, the Y-DNA haplogroup D, specifically D-M55, which is found predominantly throughout the Japanese archipelago, indicating a close genetic connection to indigenous Joman people of Japan. This haplogroup is considered a unique marker for the Ainu population, setting them apart from other East Asian populations. So this is a trait that's carried on the
Mm.
Y chromosome because Anu's children is descended by the father line. That's why Enki was able to get rank pulled on him by Enlil, right?
Hey,
So
connected to the Jomon people. That's a cone head.
okay, so now genetic evidence suggests the
The whole
Ainu are closely related to
Hun.
ancient Jomon people who inhabited the Japanese islands. So these was the mother lines now. Because remember, they was tracing the father line. That's Anu line that got stranded here in the Anunnaki
Mm-hmm.
War.
Mm-hmm.
Now they sent children over
Uh-huh.
here to marry into the native line, and those was the
Mm-hmm.
ones who became the mountain shamans in the Rockies and they begin to be teachers to the people in the Appalachians, but they all lived in mostly seclusion in small communities. They was the wise men of old on the land that we went to help solve human problems when we ran into abnormal human conditions. Right? This is the
Mm-hmm.
bloodline, the Anu bloodline. It's a high priest bloodline
Mm-hmm.
on earth, right? So when you talking to Dalai Lama, the Dalai Lama is the extension of the Anu bloodline, and that's what makes him have his position and rank.
Mm-hmm.
So these
Mm-hmm.
are tribes that's marrying women into the Anunnaki clans. And this is why
Mm-hmm.
you get a different Y group. That's like Genghis Khan have a sizable portion of the Y chromosome of the Earth. Like 1 in 7 men got his Y chromosome
Damn.
because he was a royal family and he had a untold number of children. Right? But what was his general complexion? He was about my complexion.
Right.
But he had 8 ether hair,
Still
right?
to it,
8 ether
right? Go ahead.
wavy hair, right? So when you looking at Genghis Khan, then you got his son Kublai Khan. They spread in what's known as the Mongolian Empire. They the ones that's fighting with the Romans.
Okay.
And also the Romans is fighting another haplogroup coming out of the Huns family, like Attila,
Okay.
right? And Attila the Hun was a arch nemesis to Vlad the Impaler. Who do you think them people was they was impaling,
Right. Go ahead.
right? So in the peace settlement, under Attila the Hun's reign, the Romans came to a peace agreement where they had a cross educational program where they exchanged students to learn each other's culture.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
Romans is proficient in using people's culture to conquer them by their natural habitation,
Mm-hmm.
meaning the things that they do by nature, right? That's why they got everything is illegal.
Mm-hmm.
And although the Ainu of Japan have traditionally considered descendants of the Jomon or past or post Jomon Satsuman people indicated by the D or the D2 gene marker. See, they're giving you specific markers on the genome that they make in reference to when they talking about these different haplogroups of people,
Mm-hmm.
right? They have been found to carry the Y chromosome DNA haplogroup C3, showing a paternal lineage to North Asia, including Sakhalin, right?
Okay.
So now they telling you the isolated origin where this family line was preeminent or dominant. This is the family lines that the last remnant remaining in its purest stock form is the Ainu,
Mm-hmm.
because they live in a secluded community in the mountains of Japan.
Hey,
But you
real
have
quick.
you have these other similar bloodlines that live in the mountains of Korea, the mountains of China, and they all what we call heavily melanated people.
Hey, let me ask you something right here, Rod. So would it be safe to say that the scientists they know that all humans are not from Earth, or all of the genetics or chromosome information is not all just earthly, or it's got some kind of foreign or off world or some other different type of
They
marker
they
on the
tell us
DNA?
in code.
Uh-huh.
They tell us in code. You ever heard of the missing link?
Yeah, the missing link.
Okay, so the missing link is several points in the progressive evolution of the Darwinian theory.
Mm-hmm.
You got to remember that it's the Darwinian theory,
Yeah, Darwin. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay,
Darwin.
now this is talking about something else, but hold on before I get to this right here. I
Okay,
got to go over the Darwin theory of evolution and explain
okay,
to you what the missing links are.
okay.
So, in the fossil strata, there is a sudden shift in the genome and in the fossil record from what they call the Neanderthal
Uh-huh.
to the um um from Neanderthal to Homo erectus, there's a sudden jump in
Uh-huh.
the abilities of or in the structure of the bone, but they don't know what caused this jump.
Uh-huh.
They telling you they don't know what caused it because they ignoring the fact that it's written about in Sumerian tablets, and they don't want you to know that.
Right. Go
So
ahead.
the next evolutionary missing link comes in when the Homo erectus becomes suddenly Homo sapien, and
Right.
they overlap each other. Right.
Go
So
ahead.
now you got two different species of hominid walking the planet at the same time. But the
The man
Homo
and mankind.
right, so Homo sapien outlived Homo erectus according to the fossil record.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't know what happened that caused them to disappear, whether they was absorbed into the sapiens or whether the genetic stock of erectus just died off.
Uh-huh.
Right? So then we have what we call Homo sapien, which means the intelligent man, a Latin term telling us that it was written in the schools of Rome. Latin
Mm-hmm.
was the Roman language that the Moors wrote for scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
So they call them Homo erectus, which means upright man in English. And now it's telling you a different story. So the Homo erectus suddenly becomes Homo sapien, which means the intelligent man.
Right. Go ahead.
And the intelligent man goes from Homo sapien to Homo sapien, which means the intelligent or the wisest of the intelligent man,
Go ahead.
which is supposed to be the modern day hominid people of the planet. We supposed to be Homo sapien,